Danny, what were the takeaways of just what you and Nick Wright and the Fox Sports One panel shared when it came to Caleb Williams? I think I'm to the point right now where, yeah, I understand Ben Johnson said the tape wasn't as bad as the game may have looked, but that was a game where somebody could have taken over. And unfortunately, we didn't see that out of the Bears quarterback.
Yeah, this is where like I think there's a little bit of nuance. Like, I think that Caleb doing the ordinary and operating on time and that sort of thing, like he is getting better. I shared the numbers on Twitter the other day. Last year he took 68 sacks in 17 games and he was sacked on nearly 11% of his dropbacks. It's preposterous. It was worse than the NFL across the board. This year, he's been sacked 12 times in 7 games, and he's being sacked on about 5% of his dropbacks. Now, that doesn't tell the whole story. Obviously, Dahlman and Tooney and the upgrades on the offensive line are a part of it. Ben Johnson is a part of it. There were intentional groundings that don't count as sacks, right? Like Caleb, the throw to Roma Dunze, didn't love that Caleb defended it initially because it was clearly late. He patted the ball, he held it too long, and Monangai was open in the flat. Like Caleb flatly wasn't good enough. But I do still think that Caleb is generally speaking trending in the right direction. And if you can just look at that in a vacuum, that's good. Like that is just like good. Period, full stop, next paragraph. The problem with this is that at least how I do it, and I think how you guys do it too, but like when I was on the score, sometimes it felt like we were talking to Bears fans and we underestimated how many Bears fans just watch Bears games because and it makes total sense. Like you go on living your life. But now like I literally and I would do it with First and Pod and because gambling in the NFL and now because of my job, like literally watch every NFL game. Every Monday night game, every Thursday night game, 11 hours on Sunday. And it's impossible not to compare Caleb. And Drake May is third for MVP right now, having the best deep ball throwing season through 7 games in NFL history, through 8 games in NFL history. And he's got Booty and Stephon Diggs out there. Like it's not exactly Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Jaden Daniels was in the NFC Championship game last year. Bo Nix has more touchdowns than anyone in that class and was in the playoffs last year. Like Caleb in a vacuum is, I think, in a totally reasonable place to still have a ton of optimism for what he can be as a second-year player who has made 25 career starts. But when you compare him to the other guys, that's where I think it starts to get a little frustrating.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I know we all watch our fair share of football games, and you're right. Like that's part of what makes this hard is watching with a keen eye some of the other games and seeing what the other teams are doing and seeing the guys who have
Like,
similar backgrounds and ages.
so I think like we want Caleb to be Josh Allen, right? We want him to be Mahomes, we want him to be Herbert, etc. Um, and it's instructive to realize that like after CJ Stroud's rookie year, people thought he was going to be that. Now they don't. After Jaden Daniels' rookie year, people thought he was clearly going to be the best quarterback in that class. Now people think that's going to be Drake May. Like these things fluctuate. But the names that I think are the scary ones for Caleb are Kyler Murray and Trevor Lawrence. Because I don't think we're talking about a bust. Like, I don't think there's any world where that happens. I think he is way too talented for that. And I think that he is getting better at the processing and the mental side of the game, but it's not there yet for him. He's not seeing things fast enough and accurate enough. But he's got an arm that can overcompensate it. He's got athleticism that can overcompensate it. He's got a great play caller who can overcompensate it and all of those things. But like Kyler Murray and Trevor Lawrence were good enough to get paid, good enough that their teams could not quit their talents, but they're not good enough to carry a team, win MVP, and win multiple playoff games with. And then you're just like, we gave our quarterback $250 million, and he's the 15th best quarterback in the league, the 19th best quarterback in the league. And so that still is spinning this thing forward 3 years from now, right? So like we're not there yet. I don't think every week needs to be a referendum on who Caleb Williams ultimately is going to be. It's just, can he beat Cincinnati? Can he beat New York? Can they be 6-3 when the schedule starts to get really tough? And like, I'm willing to live in the here and now and not zoom out every single week.
Yeah, I think that's fair when you're talking about the quarterback and the week-to-week development. I'm giving him until the end of the year. I think different story, though, for other guys who we had higher expectations for. We just asked the question in our 5 on It segment, who's been the most disappointing Bear this season? We agreed it was Dio Odingbo. I'm curious as to if you're with us on that or if you have someone else in mind, because Dio just has not done enough for a guy who signed a 3-year, $48 million deal, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, Montez Sweat signed a bigger one.
I've seen Montez Sweat do things, cause fumbles. I've seen him get sacks, multiples.
Yeah, no, he has. That's a good question. Like, most disappointing Bear. DJ Moore hasn't shown up enough for me this year. Sweat, Dio, those are good ones. Like, it's in some ways it's Caleb, right? Like Caleb is supposed to be the superstar, even if everything I just said is still true. Like, if Caleb Williams was having the year that Drake May was having right now, we would be talking about how many playoff games can the Bears win. But he's not. Like, and so that I think is a frustrating thing, because you're objectively correct. Like, you're not living up to a $48 million contract with no production there. But if he had 5 sacks, how different would the Bears be right now? They'd be a little different. I'm not disputing who you guys concluded with, but I do think that Caleb is the name that I would keep coming back to there, because I want to hold him to the highest of standards.
No, and I feel like the standard may become the discussion. Danny, that may be the biggest story arc when we talk about having to evaluate him this season. Is maybe the biggest thing we come away with this year is, what should our expectation be? Not where he was drafted, just like we talk about how Dio, if we were all in Dio Odingbo's position, we would sign the same deal. There's not a doubt in my mind. I would sign it and just take dealing with being the person on the field. That's what I would do. But
I'd love to be overpaid, right?
Yes.
I'd love to be an overpaid disappointment.
It's a dream, right?
But I you know why I'm saying all that, though, is because that is part of this. That's part of understanding how much respect everybody gives Ben Johnson. That's part of understanding the money they spent on the line, the players around him.
I got to say, though, Lila, it's an interesting thought, but I will be very surprised if at the end of this year we have a 20-minute conversation and the thrust of the question is like, should we lower our expectations of what Caleb Williams can be? And I say yes. Like, I'll be because I still see a guy who is a 98th percentile physical talent. Mm-hmm. And I still see a guy who from year 1 to year 2 has improved on the mental side of the game. Now, has he improved enough? No. Has he improved enough to the point where I'm even like totally convinced that he's ahead of Tyson Bagent on the mental side of the game? No. But he's so far ahead of even guys like Trevor Lawrence or Kyler Murray physically, Bo Nix physically, Jaden Daniels physically, that I'm like, I'm not quitting on that guy anytime soon. Like, I just refuse to. Like, when Trubisky was with the Bears, we used to do shows talking about how it was going to be the year 3 jump for Mitch because it was year 2 in an offense, that he had the unfortunate bad luck of having 2 different coaches in 2 years. And you really, like, you can, the truly special guys make the jump in the second year in the system, mm-hmm. or if they're lucky enough to have the consistency, their second year in the league. And I think I've seen enough from Caleb to know that, like, I'm fully committed to giving him a full off season with Ben Johnson, a full off season in the same offense, like the consecutive years in the same offense for the first time since college. Like, I don't think I'm going to be downgrading the Caleb Williams stock at the end of the year. Obviously, we still have 9 games to go.
9 games.
But 9 games. I'm not good at math. But like, I'll be very surprised if I want to lower the bar on Caleb at the end of the year.
Danny Parkins, you know him. He's a former midday host here on 670, afternoon host.
No, both are true.
Yes.
I did both.
Both are true.
Yeah.
Yes. Different shows with Matt Spiegel. There's a lot going on, okay?
Danny Parkins, former host of Spiegel and Parkins, and the former host of Parkins and Spiegel.
Very different shows from what I understand.
And McNeil and Parkins, and the short-lived Danny Parkins show, and you know what I mean? Who knows?
I did like the Danny Parkins show is a good one.
But you can catch him now on FS1. He's on the newly expanded First Things First. That's from 4 to 5. as I mentioned on Fox Sports 1. Danny, so back to the standard thing, lowering your expectation. I'm not lowering my expectation because my expectation is simply Ben Johnson, the head coach's stated expectation. I'm watching Drake May complete 75% of his passes. Meanwhile, Caleb's not to 70, but I'm giving him until the rest of the year to figure it out. Like, I'm very comfortable giving him a complete year in a new offense, as you mentioned, from year 2 to year 3, whatever, to figure it out. So I don't think any of us should be lowering our. I think if you lower your standard, Caleb Williams is a failure. If you have to lower what the stated standard is.
That's the thing. Like, if Caleb Williams is Kyler Murray, he's not like a failure at life. He'll make a couple $100 million and be a starter in the NFL for a decade, but it still will be disappointing. So I think, but I just think we're far away from that. Like, I really do. I think we are like, let's see how this goes. Like, Ben Johnson took this job for a reason, and that quarterback was a big part of the reason to take that job. And so, like, we got it. We have to be able to. I get it. It's a referendum every single week in the NFL. It's why it's so popular. It's why I love it so much. But, like, again, 7 weeks ago, the consensus was the best quarterback in that draft class was Jaden Daniels. Today, the consensus on the best quarterback in that draft class is Drake May. Let's see what it is 7 weeks from now, much less 7 years from now.